Hello, I'm Betty B. Dudley. Welcome back to another episode of Jump Scare. This month, we are going to be doing Twisted Love, or I should say, our subject is going to be Twisted Love Month, because obviously it's going to be Valentine's Day coming up soon. And we wanted to visit some films that were not your typical Valentine's Day films. We wanted to visit some films that, had a love ish theme or something along those lines, but it just wasn't right. Joining me tonight, as usual, is Mr. Shad Youngblood.
Thank you.
So, Shad, the movie that we decided to choose for the first movie is one that we have not seen at all in our whole lives.
Yeah, this is one of those ones in the video store. I always walked by it and looked at it and said, I'll get that next time. And I never did.
Did you remember what the box looked like?
I remember the box cover because it's a very memorable cover where it's the girl in the lake. The top half of her is just a girl, the bottom half is a knife.
It kind of reminded me of the books from R.L. Stine, the Fear Street novels, where they all had very beautiful, covers. I thought they were gorgeous. Kind of like subtle. It was like, I think, like a theme for back in the day where they would like change the letters to be other things. And this one, there's like a knife and like a drip of blood and the Sweet 16 lettering. So the poster is pretty cool, which is probably one of the reasons why we decided to go with this one.
Yeah. I always picture if this was a book, it would be one of those ones with the cutout on the cover where when you open the cover, you see something underneath it.
What would be underneath?
Someone being stabbed with a knife.
Yeah. Kind of like a April Fool's Day scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually 3 films named Sweet 16. So when you go and you Google, of course, the first thing's going to be the most recent. There was a Korean film that was released in 2016. There is a 2002 film. And obviously, the original, the one that should come up on top, is the 1983 film Sweet 16.
Yes, that's the one we're going to be talking about. You want to dive on into this?
Let's start off, yes, to answer your question, and let's discuss the opening scene.
Yes.
There was a theme in the 80s where I don't know who decided this. They were sitting around in a room, thinking about what exactly what would be a cool thing to have in a movie. And someone was like, you know what? Where you're like dreaming and then you wake up, but there's a whole dream sequence somewhere in the movie. That's a good thing to have, because when this movie opened that way, it was like, oh, here comes a dream sequence.
Because you know immediately, because the girl is sitting in a gothic house. It looked like Dracula's summer home. And she's reading a book that is literally called Murder Mystery.
I'm going to tell you guys, I did look this book up. There was no author. I was just very intrigued to see if there was actually a book named Murder Mystery, because I was like, you know what? I would totally get this. Barnes & Noble, like, murder mystery. What section is that in? Oh, it's in fiction. It's not going to be in the mystery section. That'd be too obvious.
Yeah. But yeah, just literally reading a murder mystery book, it seemed like that was a little on the nose. Couldn't she have just been reading some public domain murder mystery, like And Then There Were None?
No.
Which might have been appropriate for a slasher movie.
Definitely not. It was murder mystery.
The house is entirely lit with candles, too, which somehow the house was a little brighter than what I think the candles would make it.
The house was, like you just said, it was definitely Dracula's summer home. There was like drapes from the ceiling down to the floor. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like an abandoned piano with cobwebs on it.
Yeah.
No shit. Like, definitely, I'm pretty sure I saw that in the corner somewhere.
Yeah. So this is, of course, the dream sequence where we meet one of our main characters who... This is another theme of the 80s, too, is characters who should not be investigating crimes. We'll talk about this in another movie later. Just investigating the crimes along with the police, sometimes even telling the police what to do. Like, oh, you're the local gardener, but somehow you have an insight into these murders? Well, come along with all the police investigations and tell us what to do. That was a theme in the 80s, and this one continues it. Because as we'll see later, our main character that we just met, Marcy, is the daughter of the sheriff. And she is also the town's Nancy Drew in training.
Yeah, because she's a sheriff's daughter, she thinks she knows it all, and she's like out solving crimes with her dad, who puts her in this place. And let's just note beforehand, this film is really a film that is set in its time. Like, it's dated. All the men in this film degrade and totally disrespect the women of the film. I mean, it is insane.
There's actually a point where one of the characters says, "You can help, but if you want to help, go make me a sandwich."
Yes.
He literally said, "Go make me a sandwich."
This is when the film becomes more like Misery, and I'm going out back to like get like a mallet to like bust his fucking kneecaps. Like, that's the point where like, oh, you want, oh, okay. Now what? Now you're never walking again. Therefore, you're not making any sandwiches. Like, you're done. You're donezo. It's over for you. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Yeah, and if you just had to go by what goes on in this movie, you would think that the 80s was just filled with horrible pedophiles just roaming the streets. Because the men in this town are such horn dogs that they cannot control themselves around 16-year-old girls.
Yeah, well, the 80s was definitely the height of everything. It was like kidnappings for, children getting kidnapped all the time. That whole scenario, like the pedophiles, which we see in Angela, Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain was like connecting the dots. Sleepaway Camp, another pedophile. So you're gonna run into some pedophiles in the horror film world, especially in the 80s, because it was like something that was definitely going on in like real life. So it brought some realism to the film. Like, oh shit, this is happening. This is a thing.
Yeah, it's hard to remember because when this movie came out, I was 12, so I wasn't noticing a lot of like crazy behavior like that from people. But you look back on it and go, oh my god, did people really act that way?
Yeah, well, I don't even know what age I was when this film came out. I was not alive. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, who knows. But yes, definitely the thing was running rampant. This movie is just riddled with all kinds of crazy 80isms. We're gonna call them 80isms. But what did you think about, there's a character, Jason Longshadow?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to go straight to Joy. I've been waiting this whole time to talk about this character.
Yes. Like, I gotta say, for instance, most of the movies in the 80s, anytime they had a Native American character in it, it was always, especially if it was a slasher movie, he was always going to be the mystic that came in to tell them the history of the slasher or what was going on. Yet he was going to be in full, Native American garb. He was just never just wearing street clothes. He just went down to Walmart in his full ceremonial gear, pushing his cart around. That was how the 80s movies portrayed it.
Yes.
And while in this one they did have him wearing like a necklace, he was just dressed in street clothes for the movie.
Let's be real. He was half wearing street clothes because he was bare-chested 90% of the film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy's like 6'2" or whatever and in shape, so you got it, flaunt it.
I mean, that's fine, but he was naked half of the movie. It was just pants and like the necklace, and I think he had a headdress at some point, or one point maybe I'm thinking about his grandfather.
That was the grandfather who was wearing the headdress.
The actor that plays him, his name is Don Shanks.
Yes.
And he went on to go, well, not went on, but he did some other things.
Yes, he played our favorite Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Which blew my fucking mind away because I had no idea. And he was also the fisherman in I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which I just came to terms that was a real thing. I thought that was a lie. I didn't know there was a third installment to that film.
Yes. I think what's his name? Joey from Blossom is the main character in that one.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So Don Shanks is Jason Longshadow, and he's, chilling with his grandfather in the bar. There's like a crazy bar scene, well, like a bar fight scene. Of
Yeah.
course, the natives, I mean, and I don't mean the Indians,
The native Texans.
yeah, the native Texans. I would hate to say cowboys because
They weren't
cowboys,
really
Indians.
cowboys. They were just rednecks.
Okay. The rednecks. They were very upset that this native person was coming into their bar. Just, he just wanted to chill and have a drink. That was unacceptable.
And he was in his 70s or so.
Yeah, he was super old. It was just like, you know what, youngin, you need to step back and respect your elders. What's wrong with you?
He's 70 something years old in there to just get something to drink, and they're going to beat him up. And I think they pulled a knife on him, didn't they?
Yeah, no. That was Jason Longshadow who pulled the knife because he was going to cut some bitches. Because he was like, how dare you mess with my grandfather, you fuckers. You...
And I kind of don't blame him, just, you're going to beat up a 70-year-old man because he wants to come in and have a beer?
No.
Yeah.
But they wanted to. They were bored. There's nothing to do in like Wichita, wherever this was held.
Oh, it's not even, Wichita had things to do. This has got to be in like Devil's Butthole, Texas.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's in Texas. I just put it in a whole other state.
There is a Wichita Falls. No, that's in Arkansas. Never mind. But anyhow, so in true redneck fashion, they're going to beat up the old man. Jason Longshadow comes in, stops this, takes his grandfather out, puts him in the car, and that's where we meet our other main character, Melissa, who is the one who will be having the Sweet 16 party soon. Now, Melissa is she's not 16 yet, but it's the middle of the night, and she's just chilling in the bar parking lot, waiting for someone to come out. As soon as Jason comes out, she just says, hey, you want to take a ride somewhere? Get high? Have sex? And he is smart enough to recognize that this is probably something that's going to get him murdered, and to send her on her way.
Yeah, get away, little girl. Step away, little girl. He says some shit like that.
Yeah, he was very rude about it, but at the same time, if I was him in the bar parking lot and the young girl came up and was like, you want to take me for a ride? No, I do not. Get away. I don't. You're either, there's a cop on the other end of this, or I'm going to be set up and murdered. Get away.
Yeah, Melissa Morgan, who is the character, she's a very interesting character because I haven't seen a lot of horror films where like a 16-year-old is just a whore. I mean, I hate to say that she was a whore, but there's no range. She just opens her legs for anyone that wants to walk through. Like, she's ready and willing.
Yeah, and her favorite line throughout it, as soon as she meets someone, is, so what do? Do you get high? Do you take pills? Do you drink? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Can you share with me? She's all about the drugs, alcohol, and sex.
And I guess later on, maybe we can discuss why that would be. But, she's the new girl in town. Maybe that's how she makes friends. Who knows?
Her family moves from place to place because her father, played by Patrick McNee from The Avengers and 9,000 other things, the voice of the imperious leader in Battlestar Galactica, he's all over the place. And he is an archaeologist going from dig site to dig site. They never stay anywhere very long. And he's actually employing Jason Longshadow to dig at the Native American burial site to try and find some artifacts. Well, of course, after Jason tells her to, hit the road, the rednecks come out of the bar, and in true redneck fashion, they are perfectly fine with the underage girl.
Oh, no, but wait, they're underage too. They're also teenagers.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about, because they are in the bar drinking.
Yeah, but I thought, like, the legal limit is, like, 15.
Not in Texas, no.
No, it's not 12?
No, I don't know, certain parts of Texas maybe, but they would have had to have been at least 18 to be in the bar drinking, because the drinking age was 18 until, in a lot of states, until the later 80s. Well, so they would have had to have been at least 18.
Well, one of the kids, one of the guys, he had, like, his dad was, like, high profile, or he was, like, fancy. He was doing something.
Yeah, it was very unclear as to the ages of the people in this.
yeah, everyone is actually 30 years old playing a 16-year-old, so it was very
Yeah.
confusing. But never they're supposed to be, because later on they're at the school and they're
Yeah.
going to school together, all the kids. So they're, 16. Maybe they had a fake ID, even though it's a small town, so you think like you're gonna know like Jimmy and like Billy. But yeah, they're just trying to get their drink on and see the chick in the damn driveway outside. They're all about, one of them is all about it, the other one's indifferent. And they all hop in the car and then go.
The chicken.
Chick.
Oh, chick. I was like, what the hell are you talking
Not
about?
the chicken. The
Okay.
chick.
So, yeah, the one guy is he's all about it. He just abandons his friends.
I mean, it is Texas, not to interrupt you.
Yeah, it could be. And he takes her off immediately to the Indian burial site where they pull over in the truck, hop in the bed, and things start happening.
Yeah, from this point on in the movie, it's just she's gonna bang someone or bang someone and they end up dead. Like, everyone that she's interested in just gets offed one by one, and you don't know who the hell could be doing this. They don't really make it clear. The point of view in the scenes where the people are being killed are from the killer's point of view. So you're not really seeing like a shadow or the person's the behind, walking anywhere really.
But it becomes clear pretty quick that everyone that she gets involved with ends up dead.
Yeah, so the assumption is it's her, because she'd be one guy. She was like, meet me behind like this
The
place, the bar, and he's waiting behind there like an idiot, and he gets more than what he can chew because he's getting
He
killed.
gets stabbed multiple times. And then even though she later finds the body, you're kind of like, well, she still could have done it. And this.
She finds all the bodies.
Yeah. No, she didn't find the first body. That was the Nancy Drew.
Oh yeah, Nancy Drew. Yes,
Because
Nancy Drew
when
found the first body.
they pulled up to find the truck abandoned, her father immediately says, well, you two kids go look and see what you can find. Let's just send the kids out to see if there's anything wrong, even dead bodies in the bushes or anything like that. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and sis, Marcy found a dead body. That's my new band name, by the way.
And I love the fact that, her father is the sheriff. You'd think he would have said, now when you go to school, don't talk about this to anyone. Keep this quiet. We don't want this to mess anything up. No, she goes to school and tells all of them all of her theories about the murder, what could have happened, describes the body, the condition it was in, everything. She blows the whole thing wide open.
Tell me where in the film, now that the people are getting killed, okay, and they find a weapon and they think it's Jason Longshadow's knife because he's been walking around with the knife threatening people, and they find blood on the knife, like his knife. They go test it, but it's like the blood of an animal.
Yeah.
So he gets released. In that portion, I don't really remember when the cop goes investigating and finds out like other details. They were like looking through the microfiche.
Yeah, he saw something. He heard one of the characters talking about something that happened 20 years ago.
Oh yes.
And he went to go look through the microfiche in the big city, which was 20 minutes away or so.
Oh yeah, that's the part of the film where we were like, why is it always something that was like, it was 20 years ago, no one remembers but this one person that I coincidentally overhear, and now I know to go investigating about this.
Yeah, there's always that guy in the town that like everybody grew up there, but no one remembers the series of brutal murders that happened when they were 10. I would think that'd be in the papers, the school. People would be talking about it, but everybody forgets about it.
So Melissa is planning with her mother. Her mother, now, side story, the mom, we get to know that the mom actually lived in the town before. This is not her first time in the rodeo, pun intended. And she has there's a resident that lives there, remembers her. It's very unclear like how they're connected. It's very mysterious. He asked for her sister. She said that she's fine, everything's good, blah blah blah. So
there's another one of those great sexist moments where he's like, well, you sure are pretty still, little girl. She's like 35. He's still calling her little girl.
Yeah, very weird. And The mom is like, you know what would be good for me to throw a barbecue to get like the whole town reunited, and that's also going to be my daughter's sweet 16 because every girl wants a real Texans barbecue. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love barbecue actually. That sounds really delicious. But for my sweet 16, I would want something more than like picnic tables and like sand.
Here, they're all just drinking. I forgot the bottle of wine that they had, but everybody was drinking the same wine. They had like 60 bottles of the same wine on the table. Everybody's drinking the same wine and beer. And at this point, this is when the sheriff has decided to go out of town to look through the microfiche to find information. Because, you know, this is the pre internet days. You had to drive all the way into town to the library to look up the old newspapers.
You actually have to do some work to find things out.
And at this point, the sheriff, who, again, it's unclear what season, what twins is taking place, because the sheriff is wearing a vest. He's got on one of the, vests like the Back to the Future Marty McFly.
Yeah, the life preserver vest, the orange one.
Except his is blue, and it has the biggest collar I've ever seen in my life. If this vest was a hat, it would be Kurt Russell's hat in the thing. Because the collar comes up to the back, over the back of this guy's head. We're going to post a picture of it because the vest is out of control. It might have actually been some sort of alien life form just pretending to be a vest and waiting to try and jump away and run.
I think maybe it's Dracula's vest.
Oh yeah, one of those capes that they just cut the arms out of it and
yeah.
made it into
That was like his summer cape.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and that's the point where he's at the woman that runs the library crime lab. Not really sure. They seem to be doing, blood tests and things there, but they also have all the microfiche. It's a kind of a one-stop shop for criminals there.
It's Walmart before its time.
Yeah, that's the one where the sheriff tells her to go make me a sandwich while I'm doing important police business.
Yeah, because she's trying to help because she's like infatuated with him. There's like a relationship between the two, but only she's the one that knows that they're in a relationship, and the guy's like, I don't know what's going on.
Just make me a sandwich, and I'll be happy.
Just make me a sandwich. Be quiet, sit there, look pretty, make me a sandwich.
Which she literally does, and we actually get to see him eat the sandwich.
Yes, it was that was a climax actually of the film. It was like, will the sandwich make it through the scene?
I don't know. It might.
So he goes and he finds, what disturbing story does he find in this microfiche?
Well, now, spoiler alert, don't listen anymore until you've seen the movie if you don't want to hear this. In typical 80s fashion, he finds that the mom in town is not really the mom, it's the sister. That's right. Her sister was in an insane asylum and she killed herself. And this woman assumed her identity. Now, I wasn't really sure if the daughter was really hers or if the daughter was the sister's and she was her aunt. Or did she have the daughter herself and then just became super protective because she didn't want anything bad to happen to her like happened to her sister?
Okay, well, further spoiler alert. No, that was her daughter.
Okay.
That was her biological daughter. So, at this point, we find this out and he has to rush back to town. Like, he has to go and tell everybody because the whole town is at this party and he feels like shit is going to go down.
And in true, like we discussed before, the daughter, Melissa, she sneaks away for 2 seconds with the sheriff's son and they go to the lake. She immediately strips naked and jumps into the lake and tells him, get naked and come on in the lake.
Another 80s moment where you get naked and get in the lake, because remember that's why you don't see it in a lot of movies now, because people are not getting naked and going into lakes because there's going to be always one fucker that's Instagramming, tweeting, putting it somewhere on Facebook, your boobs, tits, everything you got, balls and everything is going to be flapping in the wind on somebody's thing. So you can't even have like the amazing time of just jumping in naked in like a sea urchin lake like with nasty shit floating in it, because that's what I want to do. But that was the big thing back then too, was like we're gonna go in the lake. Oh, sleepaway camp, that's another. I don't know, there's a weird sleepaway camp feeling now that I'm connecting these two.
There's a lot of skinny dipping in all these slasher movies, but so that's where we discover, of course, spoiler alert, that the mom is the killer.
Yes, the mom is a killer and really fast. I mean, like everything happens within the last like 20-ish minutes of the film.
Yeah.
We have to rush and explain everything because we've killed, Jimmy dead, Billy dead, Tommy dead, everyone's dead, more or less, and we have to give an explanation to you. The explanation is that the mom and her sister used to have, I guess, an abusive dad, and she was protecting her sister in a moment, and this is all done through flashbacks. Hello, another 80s staple. And he gets killed somehow. They don't really say how she kills him, like in per detail, but it happens. And I guess the sister goes crazy, and she goes to the insane asylum, and it doesn't work out for her, obviously. And here we go. The mom is now assumed her identity, and now she has, her kid, and now she's going around killing all of these guys because she's having like PTSD moments where she thinks that she's like protecting her sister Joni, or Joni, I believe is her name, and it's really her daughter. So she's watching her daughter be a whore, and she's going offing, and all the boyfriends are getting, or guys.
Maybe going and talking to the daughter about don't be drinking, taking all these pills, smoking pot, smoking cigarettes. You maybe want to calm that down a little bit. You're at an 11. We're going to need you at about a 7.
No, she's just straight up, you know what? I need to kill these guys. They're the issue. You're perfect. Happy Sweet 16. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're not a whore. It's the guys. We got to kill the guys. So, everyone's like in the woods at one point. Everybody. Marcy's there. The sheriff's son is there.
Well, yeah, the sheriff's son just come out of the lake from the skinny dipping.
Yeah, the sheriff arrives. The crazy mom's there. The daughter's there.
And you gotta remember, this is the point where, in true fashion, the 2 rednecks show up and see the girl coming out of the lake naked, and they're like, well, what else can you do but just rape her? So they start grabbing her, holding her, trying to take her clothes off, and that's when Jason Longshadow pops out with his trusty knife to save her, but he gets knocked unconscious.
Yes, and then I was like, oh my god, Jason Longshadow just got attacked. Like, this is the one character in the movie I actually like because he's pretty cool looking, and he's trying to do right by like the people around, and everyone's an asshole. So we don't want this guy to fucking die. He doesn't deserve to die. But yep, then cut to like
the redneck guys are trying to attack the daughter, trying to rape her, when all of a sudden they just get stabbed out of the blue. Both of them get killed, and that's when we see that it's the mom, because she's, trying to make sure the daughter's okay. The sheriff shows up in time to make sure that no one else gets killed. And then again, another thing you saw in a lot of the 70s, 80s movies was at the end of the movie, the daughter is so severely traumatized, you get the slow zoom in on her with the creepy music playing, like, oh no, she's crazy now too.
Oh yeah,
Here comes the sequel.
We can't gloss over this scene because it's actually my favorite scene in the whole film. We go when we're looking at, the survivors. The sheriff's kids are asking her, Melissa, are you all right? Are you all right? And you're watching, her back is towards the screen, Melissa's, and she's wrapped up in a blanket, and then she turns around and she's going through a doorway, and you see that the blanket is wrapped around her, but it's kind of like falling, and in her hand's full of blood, and it's holding a knife, and she has a bewildered look on her face, like she fucking lost it. And in that moment I was like, this is actually, the whole film is just actually a PSA on mental illness. That's the mom had her issue, and she lost her mind when she saw, after everything happened between her and her sister, and her killing the dad and that whole bit, and then she's going around killing all these kids, and now her daughter has it because she just saw her mom like try to off her, because she tries to kill her. The mom tries to kill Melissa at one point, and the whole wood scene after the whole skinny dipping thing, and it's classic. Like, it's such a classic, a film of its time. And the whole twisted love is the love that the mom had for her sister and her daughter.
Yeah, she loved them so much she was willing to kill everyone that got near them.
Yep, everyone that tried to fuck with them and ruin their mind, their lives, and whatever. She was out for them. She was gunning for them, and they were out.
Yep, she wasn't gonna tolerate that.
This is an interesting month because this is the first time we've actually done like a whole month dedicated to a certain theme, and we have some future films coming up that's kind of predictable. Another one is not. One is predictable, the other one is not predictable. So it's going to be fun to rewatch these films and have these future discussions for our Twisted Love Month.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with some more twisted, stinking weird love.
Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.